Okay, what's up? I know it's not a Wednesday, but it's the 21st, and I couldn't miss this opportunity because it's 12 years since we got the first Twilight, so I have to do a Twilight video on Twilight's anniversary. I'm wearing my mask because I think Twilight is more dangerous than the pandemic. It's bad. I'll get infected if I keep talking about Twilight without. Okay, I'm joking. Um, but yeah, it's been 12 years since we got Twilight. Like it or not, Twilight has been part of our lives for almost 12 years, over 12 years now, just over 12 years. And, you know, love it or hate it, I hope you hate it more than you love it, because if you love it, there's a bit of a problem in that. But love it or hate it, Twilight has been around for 12 years. And, it had a couple of good things going for it. I mean, there's like three things I love about Twilight, like three. The memes. Twilight was excellent for the meme economy. Because we wouldn't have still a better love story than Twilight without Twilight being such a bad love story. So Twilight was fantastic for the memes. That song from Twilight, A Thousand Years, I love that song, and we wouldn't have that song if it wasn't for Twilight. And also, there's the thing in Twilight where Jacob, like, he's like a human being, right? And then he runs, and then he jumps, and he turns into a wolf. That's probably one of my favorite things about Twilight. But I mean, everything else, not so much. I first watched Twilight, I think like 2014, 2015, thereabout. I was young, and I mean, I noticed, I knew it was bad. I was like, okay, this Twilight thing is horrible. But I didn't know how bad it was until like 2020, where like I'm now more perceptive, and I'm like, okay, let me go through these things one more time. And it's just so bad. I mean, they decided to make five. Like, they made one, they made two, they made three, they made four, they made five. And I mean, yeah, if it wasn't for the memes and the fact that that song and those wolf transformations, I don't think Twilight would be relevant. But it sadly is still relevant. I mean, they made the first one, it was weird. The color, everything was just so weird. The story was just so weird. It was just bad. And I mean, the vampires in Twilight, I mean, I'm a big fan of the originals, so I cannot take the Twilight vampires seriously. I mean, they sparkle in the sun, and what, they have like B grade superpowers. They're like, it's that's not even explained. I like, they're like, it's like they have a mutant X gene, right? Like the X-Men, but it's only activated when someone gives you vampire venom. And then, because I mean, some of them can fly, some of them can read minds, which is pretty a standard thing. Some of them are like can control water, like water bending. Like it makes no sense. And I mean, it was just so just there, so it could be there. And I mean, Edward is creepy. Edward and Bella, their relationship is just so creepy. I mean, how did people like that? I just don't understand how people like that. And I mean, they did, and they went on to make a second one. The second one was really just like exposition, was exposition upon exposition. Like, there was nothing happening. It was just there to like set up the rest. Um, and that's where like we got the silly love triangle. We got the silly love triangle in the second one. That love triangle made no sense. I mean, they still had the sparkly thing, and I mean, so Edward leaves Bella, and then Bella starts flirting with Jacob, but like in the friend zone, and like, I could hurt you because I'm a wolf. Bella's like, I don't care, you could never hurt me. Like, I think Bella was just really weird, and like, she got dumped by Edward. She sat in the same spot in a room for like 4 months, and she tried to kill herself multiple times. Like, she jumped off cliffs and everything so she could see like a ghost Edward. And I mean, I don't really know what message the Twilight people were trying to send to their teenage target audience. Like that's actually quite disturbing. The fact that they just kind of like, it's okay, jump off a cliff if you want to see your creepy ex-boyfriend. It was really really weird. Then they made the third one, and it was just full of inconsistencies. It was just so bad. I mean, that love triangle came back. That's like the worst triangle since the Bermuda Triangle. Like, I mean, what was going on? It was just so bust. There's a good wolf boy, there's a bad vampire boy, there's a weird, silly human girl. It's just, I mean, I can't. take anything from Twilight seriously. And I mean, Robert Pattinson is now Batman. He did like a full transformation from a weird vampire to a bat. And I mean, I get he's the Dark Knight now, but I don't think I can take him seriously because every time I think I'll be watching the Batman, I'll be like, ha ha ha, ha, Twilight boy. You know, I can't take him seriously. He's forever Edward Cullen. He's forever creepy, sparkly vampire boy. This is weird. He's like 117, and like Bella's like 17, and like they were all okay with that. That was kind of weird. The fourth movie though, that's like kind of like where like the beginning of the stupidity. Like it's the silliest. Like you thought. I mean, if Twilight was a trilogy, like just one, two, and three, what is it? Twilight, New Moon, and Eclipse. If it was just those three, it could have been forgivable. But they made the fourth. There was four books. They split the fourth book into two separate movies, and the two separate movies were awful. They were beyond horrendous, and there was like there's no redemption from that. There's no coming back from that, and the worst thing about the Twilight franchise, personally for me, happened in the fourth movie when Jacob fell in love with a baby. First of all, let's talk about the baby, the CGI baby. I mean, a group. I want to have a conversation with a group of men and women, grown men and women, educated, who sat down in a circle and decided, the best thing that this franchise needs to revive it after three questionable movies, the best thing we can do for this franchise is to make a CGI baby. A baby completely out of CGI. Like that thing looks like the stuff of nightmares. Like if you have a nightmare and you see a baby in your nightmare, it's highly likely the Twilight baby. I mean, did no one on set? I mean, even the assistant costume designers, interns, daughter's friend. I don't know. Did nobody know anyone who just had a baby? Or I mean, could they not like go on Google? We're looking for a baby to just like have a few seconds in the Twilight movies. But no, they decided to have a CGI baby, like a fully rendered, but like a poorly rendered. I'm sure it was expensive. It would have been cheaper to get like a normal human being child. It would have been cheaper and look nicer. But they went out of their way to get a CGI baby called Renesmee, and then they then went out of their way to make a fully grown Jacob fall in love with that baby. Like the first time he saw that baby. Like, just Jacob has had a crush on Bella for so long, right? So like you have a crush on someone for so long, and then the moment you see their newborn daughter, I mean, it couldn't get any worse. It really could not get any worse.
You imprinted on my daughter?
It wasn't my choice.
She's a baby!
It's not like that. From the beginning, it was Nessie who wanted me there.
Nessie? You nicknamed my daughter after the Loch Ness Monster?
In the fifth Twilight, as if things could not continue. I mean, okay, they didn't get worse because I mean, like a grown adult man falling in love with the CGI baby of his childhood crush. That's like as weird and as creepy as it gets. Like that's the most Twilight thing to ever Twilight. But the fifth movie still managed to like add a bit more Twilightness. Like Twilight. First of all, are the Twilight vampires flammable or not flammable? Because throughout the franchise, these guys, they literally, if they come in contact with any flame, they just combust. They're like petrol, just right? And then in the fifth one, I think there's one of the vampires who they go like the witness people. The fifth movie was just weird. One of the witness people, their second grade like X-Men power is like pyrokinesis. So like, and they control fire, right? So if you control fire, that means you cannot burn technically, because if there's fire around you, you just fire be gone, right? So does this guy burn like the other Twilight vampires, or is he like the only one who's immune to fire? Or, and I mean, do you know when Twilight vampires are like so PG-13, even though like the whole story, the concept, the message behind the story is not PG-13 at all. Fall in love with your childhood crush's newly born daughter. That's not PG-13 at all. That's weird. But like the death scenes in Twilight are so PG that they just like, it's like cardboard. It's like they will rip off someone's head and it's like a mannequin, like a cardboard. Like, I mean, I'm not saying like sure like the gore, the blood, but like if you're gonna do something, go hard or go home. And Twilight should have just gone home. But the worst thing about the fifth movie, aside from, Jacob and the CGI baby, that's like the worst thing about the whole franchise. But the worst thing about Twilight 5 is that we get to the end of Twilight 5, right? There's like 10 hours of movie prior to this. They're building up to this moment, and it's all a vision. There's no big fight. There's no the Volturi people. They don't show up. They don't end up killing everybody. There's no big fight. The fight was kind of cool. Like we're shown it in a vision, and it was pretty cool by Twilight standards. Although it was like illogical and just you're like, what? But anyway, that whole fight did not happen. 10 hours of movie did not happen. It happened for nothing basically because I mean they just kind of like understandable have a good day, they just talk it out and they go their separate ways, and Jacob will then you know raise Jacob had to raise this baby. That's the worst thing about it. Jacob had to raise this baby. He raised this baby to be his wife basically. That's like the Twilight message. But I mean, unfortunately, we got Twilight and we have Twilight, and Twilight is here to stay for more and more years. And collectively, as the human race, we gave the creators of Twilight over $3.3 billion. That's unforgivable. Alright, if you like that video, please leave a thumbs up. Please should like click the subscribe thing. I think it's here or here. Somewhere there's a subscribe. Click the subscribe if you're new. Leave a comment down below. Share this with a friend, and watch Twilight if you want to watch it again. Just for the culture.